Welcome to another SoCal Sound session. I am Julie Slater, midday host, also music director here at the station. I am here with Daisy the Great. Welcome, guys. Here with Kelley and also Mina. Thanks for coming to CSUN Northridge.
Of course.
On this beautiful, warm, we're starting to get into the summer, so we're getting a little scared. Just so you guys know. This is the brand new record. I love it. Have you guys, sometimes artists come in here and they haven't even seen their vinyl.
Well, we just got this.
Yeah.
I actually got the vinyl 2 days ago, and then we immediately came to LA, so I haven't played it, but I do have it.
So excited.
It's the Rubber Teeth Talk, Daisy the Great. Tell me a little bit, I don't even know the story of how you guys met in school in New York, and you live in New York.
Yes.
And give me your timeline. First of all, I don't even know where Daisy the Great came from, the name.
The air.
Yeah, we made it up.
To our heads.
We met in acting school at Tisch at NYU, and I grew up in New York, and Mina grew up in New Orleans, and then we both met in school at NYU. But we grew up surrounded by music. My mom's an opera singer. Mina's mom was a jazz singer. There's a lot of music and art in both cities, and then we met in school. And initially we were working on a project together that was part of our sketch class, and we kind of didn't want to write a sketch. We were we'll write a song.
Comedic song.
Yeah, so we wrote a song, and then that was just kind of an excuse to start working on stuff together. And then eventually we started writing a musical that was about a band, and it was really good. We wrote the whole script, and we wrote one song that was more theatrical, and then we started talking about what songs the band in the musical would write, and kind of opened up a trove of songs that we both had, and hadn't really shown anyone, but had this kind of secret life of writing songs alone. And then those songs became our first EP. But the name just kind of came from us being pretty immediately once we had that day, we were we have these songs, we're gonna be a band, we need a name, and we just made it up.
On the fly.
Yeah, we wanted something
list,
that,
but-
we did a list. We were walking down the street and we were just what sounds like a good band name for us, because we didn't want it to be Mina and Kelley or Kelley and Mina.
We really
Sounds like a talk show.
Yeah. So we were what sounds like a good band name? And we also we only really had the songs kind of in their song written form, so we didn't fully know either what sound we were gonna even end up doing, and we wanted the ability to kind of evolve into whatever came to us. So we wanted something that felt like it could hold something small, something big, it just be able to play within the name, and not have it imply a genre. And we chose Daisy the Great kind of just because we like the ring of it. And that it's something delicate that is also has power, and we wanted to emphasize that. But it was really cool because when we showed each other our songs, our songwriting process was very similar. We opened up our computers and had a lot of harmonies and layers in our stuff, and we're never been able to perform this because there's so many voices in it. And we just started singing each other's songs, and it felt very a good fit.
Did you ever perform the musical that you wrote?
No.
Do you think you ever will?
No. Maybe for maybe as a secret at a party or something, we'll read it.
VIP about it.
Yeah.
We could do a reading of it. We don't have any music for it because once we started showing each other songs, we just dropped it. But it's in a Google Drive somewhere.
That's a pretty interesting way, though, to start out acting and then write a musical.
Yeah.
I love how that all kind of unfolded. Now, what's your connection to AJR? Of course, you guys had the song, the record player song.
Yeah.
What's the timeline on that? Did you know the band AJR? Did the song come out and sort of become popular, and they were like, hey, let's redo it?
So that song, the record player song, is the original version. That song is one of the first songs. That's the first song that I showed Mina that I wrote back when we were starting the band. So that was super early. Then we put it out in 2017. It was the first song we ever put out. And then it kind of built this world and life around itself for 2 years online while we were playing shows in New York and releasing other music. And then it started to have these kind of like spikes in attention in 2019. And at one of those times, there was like a one breath challenge that people were doing, and like people were doing really cool, like making like gore makeup videos and stuff to
With
it.
your song?
Yeah, so it was just kind of like building online. And then we were like talking to some labels at that time. And then one of the people that we were speaking to was Steve, who heads our label. But at that time we were like just meeting him. We had known him, I guess, for a little while at that point, and then we said we would go like make songs and bring them back and show them to him. But that was kind of all like bubbling at the same time. And then Jack from AJR heard the song online.
And Steve is their manager.
Steve manages them. And so Jack was like, I love this song. Like, do you think we could try to reach out to these two?
Did he ask to do a collab?
Not in the very beginning. He was just like, can we like talk to them? And then Steve was like, oh, I actually know them already, so let me just start an email. And so then we were like, kind of like, what can we do here? And it had been so long since we put the song out, so we were like, I think the best version of this is like making a new version that kind of just like lets a new thing exist, and like the old song exists, and like we play the old song on tour, but it's really cool that it has like this separate leg and like went off to like fly in this other area. It's just cool.
And you guys ended up touring with AJ?
Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
That right when it came out, we went on. That was our first proper tour. Like we did a DIY tour before.
Before the pandemic.
Before the pandemic, yeah. But then coming out of it, that was the first thing we did, which was kind of crazy.
We were like, whoa.
Big places.
Yeah, that's cool. So this is your third album, right?
Yes. Yeah.
What has changed for you guys as far as writing and recording an album now over the time? I'm sure so much has gone on from the beginning.
Well, both of us started as performers, I would say, like before being recording artists. And I think that as we've been a band now for 9 years, and I think that just like over time we've like developed our like producer brains. And I think we've also been performing more and more and like learning kind of what feels good to perform. And our writing style has developed with our like personal tastes and things as we've grown and as we've like grown up as well, like inside of a band. We've really developed like a language of how to write songs together and with our band. And this album specifically, we wrote entirely just the two of us and with our two of our bandmates. So it feels like the most like we're writing an album. I think the other albums we were like, oh, we have these songs. Which ones should we pick to make an album? Because we performed like before this album. We were always performing music that wasn't out. Like even when we had our first album out, we were performing songs from what was going to be the next album. But we were just writing all the time and kind of just really excited to play music. And also, like I said, like we were performing and then going like, I kind of want to perform something that feels more like this. And then we'd write that song in order to perform it. And I think that this album, we wrote it in order to record and then perform it. So we had some time after we toured our second album, All You Need Is Time, and we had some time.
How much time did it take to write it?
I think writing and recording it took about 2 years. But we had like one song that we wrote like right before that tour, which was Ballerina, which came out already, that we were like really excited about. And we were like, okay, like we wrote it and then immediately went on tour. We're like, let's just play this song. Let's see how it feels. And we did that, and then we like came back and we were like so invigorated by that song that we like took the summer and just like Kelley came over to my house and we just wrote every day. And then we had this like batch of like 14 songs, and then we brought them to our band and we were like, we have these songs, like let's write them more. And then like we just like took a lot of time to we made like we made like 2 demo versions of each song that we like demoed it in my room, and then we demoed it again with our band in a more like polished way. And then we like sent those demos to Catherine, who produced the record, and then we re-recorded everything again. So it felt
Had you worked with it's Catherine Marks?
Yes.
Had you worked with her before?
No, we hadn't, but we were really excited to work with her. And this is definitely the most kind of like proper, like, I feel like this is the most we've been able to like give time to the songs to record them, which like I guess in the past album we got to perform the songs before recording them a lot, so that also helped in recording. But this album, yeah, we wrote it, we recorded a demo, we thought about the demo, we recorded a new demo, and then we thought about that and then reworked everything. So we got to give it like proper time, and we got to spend like proper time in a studio.
Where did you end up recording?
Studio G in Brooklyn, in Greenpoint, which is where we recorded the last album, but we only recorded there for 3 days. So we did like 3 days like
of basics,
of basics, and then we did the rest kind of at our producer's like home studio. Yeah, so you seemed like you wanted to.
No, I just said of basics.
Oh.
So was that
3
the
days
last
of
album, or
basics.
on
Yeah.
Is this one you did 3 days, or you did longer?
this
one we did longer,
We did about a month, yeah.
which was so cool.
It was
That's
so
wild.
awesome.
It's like such a dream to just like go to the studio every day. It's so cool.
Did you wake up in the morning and be like, this is my life that I've
Yeah.
done?
The studio is also near our house, and like for me, it's just like across the park. So I would like walk through the park, like get a coffee. It was so like, it was very ideal.
We also got to like finish the mixes with Catherine in London, which was like, that was amazing. That was so, it was funny. It was so fun to like start the songs together and end them together. Cause I was feeling like, cause the songs we finished recording them in October, and then we mixed them, they were getting mixed in January. And we were like, I want to go. Yeah, we want to like be a part of that kind of, and the way that we kind of recorded it, and Catherine mixed it as well, is we were like, okay, we're like throwing, we use the recording time to record and not to mix, so we just like threw everything at it, and then we're like, we really like should be there for the mixing process, because it was a
lot of it was like arranging further
and like comping vocals and stuff. So it was really fun to like tie it all together and like finish the album together. It felt very special.
That's cool. What about the album title? Can you tell us? The Rubber Teeth Talk.
Yes.
What's
the Rubber
the
Teeth
mystery?
Talk. I don't even want to tell you too much. The Rubber Teeth Talk comes from a lyric. All of our albums so far have been a lyric, but this song, or this lyric, is from a song called Dream Song, which is a really cool song that's on the record that is basically about a dream, and like goes into these various like weird holes throughout the song, and like really shifts a lot. And it was a really fun song to write. But this part is from the second verse, and the lyric is what comes right before. I love it a lot, the way that a thought is a dancer. The rubber teeth talk, they cover the clock like an answer. And it kind of feels, I think everyone, when we talk about it, a lot of people kind of have their own interpretation. But for me, it feels like there's like chatter in your head, and sometimes maybe that's like leading you to feel like imposter syndrome or like insecurity, and like sometimes it's like different and it can be like imaginative and free. But I think it's just the rubber teeth talk in your head. There's like stuff happening, and then you have to kind of like carve through that, and then the carving through is kind of like the finding yourself through the record. So there's a lot of moments that are like feel like rubber teeth talk, and then hopefully like through listening to the record you feel like you connect to your own kind of like laser through each song. But
yeah, I think we picked that lyric as the we were kind of tossing around a few names, and I think that we just liked the reaction that people got when we said this, and we're like, what does it mean to you? And everybody had a different meaning, and all of them were cool. So we were like, that's great. And it is, it comes from a dreamy place, and it comes from like something that's a little bit out of time.
Yeah. And there's like potential in it. Like I think there's something cool in having it be something that people will interpret differently, and just like, especially because it comes from that song that's like shifting so much, it's nice to have a title that encompasses the record in a lot of different ways. Like it's interesting to me to apply it to other songs on the record and see just like what that makes me think about. But I like it.
Is there any path on the album with the songs that lead? I always like leading up to the final song.
Yeah.
There kind of is, but
there's definitely a sonic path. Like
there's a sonic path. There's also a little bit of like there are a few paths.
Yeah.
I don't want to say,
I don't want to give up
I know,
too
I don't
much.
want to say too much, but
you.
I think there's a path in my head of like connection to yourself that like moves through the record intentionally. Like the order is definitely very intentional, but it's not necessarily like super linear feeling.
Yeah, I feel like it's like a Dog starts as like kind of like an introspective, like personal, like daydream, and then it kind of goes further into real dreams and like kind of like more like then like the second half of the album starts with Swinging, which like is when Kelley got like too high on laughing gas at the dentist. So like it's like all of these like little portals, and then I think after that song it kind of goes into a more like death themed like dream world, like these like more like existential places, and then like it ends in this like sonic kind of like wall that feels like cathartic. But I think it has like a cathartic through line that like you go into these like little rabbit holes of dream worlds.
That's awesome. What part of the tour are you guys at? I know you're playing, while you're here today, you're playing the Moroccan Lounge tonight.
Yes. This is the last date of this tour. But this tour is surrounded again around the first single, which is Ballerina. So this is like the closing show of Ballerina tour.
Will you be coming back to LA?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
So we're playing at El Cid in LA on September 26th.
That's awesome.
And we'll play the album.
Oh, in full?
In full.
I hope.
So cool.
Well, we didn't make the set yet, but
We have to.
Yeah,
we have to. We will.
Well,
I'm saying it now, so we have to do it.
yeah, I want to do it. I think we have to. I think you have to do it too.
well, that's great. Kelley, Mina, thank you for coming by. The brand new record. Check it out, everybody. I love seeing the vinyl. Although, what happened to the actual album, guys? Did you guys?
It's not in there. We don't have one. We wanted it.
The Reverend Teeth talk. Daisy's great. Thank you guys for popping by.
Thank you.
This song's called Dog. Dragging my feet like my body's on cruise control. New York is melting, I'm a mouse in a maze. Wake up, take two, I've been stuck in an endless scroll. I'm 6 blocks south, I guess I've been in a daze. My closest kinship with the Winnie the Pooh face down on the sidewalk. Tell me the truth, is it all just talk, talk, talk? Hello, self, what's going on? I'm overwhelmed, and towing the line. I'll think about it. The yellow sign, I tug at the bit. Gotta make up my mind. God, I'm so out of it. Resort to silence. Why take my time? It'll harden the blow. So serpentine, your honey hello. So tell me why I don't wanna let go. I don't wanna let you and me feel like a memory. Spit out the lemon seeds, take everything you need. My mama said I was a better man when I didn't know you yet. I light my eyes on fire to see through the great disguise of the century. I would eat up your lies, but they're a little too sweet. I can't believe you and me feel like a memory. Spit out the lemon seeds, take everything you need. My mama said I was a better man when I didn't know you yet. What if I drive the roller coaster off of the rails? I'm getting closer. What if it's just another bad day? What if I love you? 'Cause I always will. I always will. You and me feel like a memory. Spit out the lemon seeds, take everything you need. My mama said I was a better man when I didn't know you yet. What if I feel like a memory? Spit out the lemon seeds, take everything you need. My mama said I was a better man when I didn't know you yet. I wake up at 4 a.m. these days. I've got a lot on my mind. Like, what's the point of a body if I'll never be a ballerina? I'll never have any fun if all I do is sit and whine about everything she's got. She's not me, so it's a waste of time. She's not me, so it's a waste of time. Everyone's in a bed of roses, singing ha 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 ha. Every day I get a little closer to the ha 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 ha. I'm just like a baby, I need someone there to tell me no. Don't put that ego in your mouth, you're gonna choke. Everyone's in a bed of roses, singing ha 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 ha. Every day I get a little closer to the ha 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 ha. Everyone's in a bed of roses, singing ha 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 ha. people party proudly, posing, posting, perfect peers, talking, walking, how about we talk about our perfect years? Chalet sheeple shouting loudly, I have had enough in here. Do I want to be a perfect party person filled with tears? Spinning in the center of the room, there's a quiet kind of ticking of the clocks, sticking to the heart of the matter.